What's up? Hey, hello, everyone. Wow, so today we are back going to be talking about Survivor, but not really any fun news about Survivor because this week CBS said that Survivor has been taken off of the fall playlist of shows that are going to be airing. So, my name is Rachel.
I'm Alyssa, and we think that Survivor probably isn't going to be the only reality TV show that is going to end up canceled because we foresee like Big Brother being canceled, The Amazing Race, probably not happening anytime soon. And so I guess we just wanted to sit down and talk about what reality TV might look like in a post coronavirus world.
Yeah, and especially because all of us are fans of all of these TV shows that like do travel or have abroad aspects of it, I thought that like this would be an interesting topic to talk about because it's very right now, right here, right now, kind of happening right now. So I think it's an interesting conversation. So, like we just said, Survivor 41 has been canceled for the fall. So nothing will be airing. Survivor 41 hasn't been filmed yet. They were supposed to go out back in like March. And then it got postponed to May when like the finale for season 40 happened. They were supposed to go out the day after the finale, and then it got postponed again. And then now we're hearing in July that it's not going to happen. They don't have enough time to film a whole season and edit it for the fall, even if they started in like September or October for the airing date. So I feel like we were all sort of expecting it, but it's still sort of a bummer to hear and see in writing.
Yeah, and I think that it's also really weird because COVID has been a really big part of like the US collective consciousness, I would say, like since February or March. And to know that things still aren't going to be back to normal in like September or October, that's just like a really long time to be thinking about this virus. And, you know, that kind of sucks.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's definitely smart to probably postpone all kinds of filming and stuff, even though like articles were saying, and I think Inside Survivor posted stuff like that Fiji was opening up and Survivor was trying to get back out there like this month, next month, because Fiji was allowing like travel and stuff like that with quarantine after you travel there. So it was seeming like, oh, maybe Survivor could happen, but it's not happening anymore. But I think it's probably just smarter for everyone that like it's not being like filmed now, honestly, because I think for the people out there, if like you have a family or something like that, even if you're safe and like the crew and everyone else is healthy, just being disconnected from your family and your friends and like the outside world per se, because you're not getting internet or cell phone reception on an island while you're playing a $1 million game kind of thing, I think that would be very difficult for people. And I just wouldn't see that that's the best filming circumstances that you would want to be in. I think if you had family or loved ones, I would be very conscientious about going out there to play this game at this point in time.
Yeah, I feel like it would be really, really bad if we had another like Terry Deeds case where someone had to be told like your spouse, your sister, your parents like passed away because of COVID while they were like on the island. And I feel like another thing to mention is Fiji has not had a lot of coronavirus cases. They've only had like 26 confirmed cases total. And so I would also think about like what's the risk of like a bunch of Americans coming to Fiji and possibly like spreading COVID in Fiji, which would be bad, as one might say.
Yeah,
So,
or like even also for like Fiji's economy or like their health services, like are their hospitals even capable of like multiple cases of outbreak happening? Like that's a lot to think about, and I think you'd be putting a lot of people potentially at risk if like something were to happen in a country that might not be able to sustain that kind of like hospitalization.
yeah, so basically, we want to think about the health and safety of the cast and crew, but also the health and safety of the people in Fiji where they're filming. So, I feel like the only way Survivor could feasibly do a season in the near future would be if they found someplace in the United States that they could do it, just because international travel when the United States is still seeing like huge numbers of COVID cases just seems like irresponsible.
Yeah, and even like it also seems sort of not feasible that something could happen in the United States because apparently like Survivor they film in Fiji because it's cheap and they use like foreign labor from other countries, so like European, Asian countries like crew that will come and work on the Survivor sets and stuff. So I think like I don't know. It's just like a big mess, sort of, because if you're only using like foreign country labor to make it cheap labor, I think that's really problematic, first of all. But like, you're not going to be able to do that in the United States when like there are other standards. So, sort of like how cruise lines purposefully, if even if it's like a United States cruise, they will go somewhere that isn't United States territory, so then they don't have to pay their employees like the United States mandated rates, which is really crappy, first of all. But like there's ways that companies can make their wages cheaper by like doing loopholes like that. So I feel like if Survivor actually is like not paying their employees enough, first of all, that's a conversation. But second of all, then they're probably not going to be coming to the United States because they won't want to pay their employees that much.
Can we just talk about how they're willing to give away $1 million but not willing to like pay fair wages? Like, this is all speculative. Like, we don't know that's exactly the reason they wouldn't film a season in the United States, but that's, like we said, an entirely different conversation. And I also feel like one of the things is in a situation like Survivor, where there's a bunch of people who are hungry and like not bathing well and just not sleeping well, all of that compromises your immune system. So if one of them did have COVID, it would likely not be very good for them because they'd be starving, and that's bad for like recovery. And I also feel like in close quarters like that, if one of them got COVID, then all of them would get COVID. And I think that kind of relates to why Big Brother probably also isn't happening, because the risk of like a mini outbreak happening within the cast or crew is just not a risk I think a lot of people are willing to take.
Yeah, so I think it's really interesting, like the liability aspect, but like we were mentioning, the health and safety aspect of everything. For Big Brother United States, it has been like kept getting pushed back as well. There was rumors about like BB All Stars happening, which has sort of been like squashed now. Like maybe last week, a lot of people on Reddit were saying that, oh yeah, all the BB All Stars were in sequester this week and it's going to start soon, kind of thing. And like so many rumors were going around. And even now, I see pictures on Reddit of like the BB backyard, and it looks like stuff is happening. And maybe they're like changing the backyard and getting it ready for a cast or for a season to start. But I think, I don't know, it would be interesting because I think Big Brother would be an easier TV show to film because you don't have all of that like starving, going to a foreign country, outdoor aspect, and you're not having like maybe I guess you don't have that foreign crew aspect as well. So I think there's ways that Big Brother could work, especially if you like limit the number of crew that is working on like on site and everything, and then like the people inside after you like quarantine them and they're in isolation after they fly from like whatever state they're from, then like they could probably they would be safe, right? But I think you would have to definitely mandate like the crew, and like the crew probably can't go home. The crew's definitely like not going to parties, stuff like that, where like their chances of catching something and spreading something would be increased. And I think I saw on Reddit like there's conversations about contracts where the people basically it would like if you're working on the set, you would sort of have to quarantine the entire time. Like if it's a shorter season, maybe like 1 month and not a 3 month period, but you would be like in isolation that entire time and you're not allowed to like go back home to your family to keep everyone safe.
Yeah, and that would be like a rough gig because you wouldn't be able to like go home to your family. And I think like people might say, oh, the people in the house are already doing that and spending a month away from their family, but they're also like volunteering to do that and also have the prospect of a cash prize in front of them. Whereas, like, would the Big Brother crew even be paid more for being made to quarantine, or would it just be like this is a part of your job now. And so I feel like there's just so many moving parts that would need to happen in order to make like Big Brother in quarantine or in COVID era like safe, that it almost seems not worth it. And I feel like that's why a lot of like reality TV shows are pushing back dates before eventually canceling, because it's like we have to make it worth it.
Yeah, because honestly, it just seems like a lot of like contracts and liability issues. Like you sort of go down a rabbit hole of like if XYZ happens, then what happens after that? And Big Brother Australia, which I've been watching some foreign television during this like quarantine time. So Big Brother Australia has been airing right now, and they filmed I believe like February to April, May, right when like COVID started getting bad. And it was interesting on the show because there's actually a segment that happened on last week's episode where basically a crew member was getting tested for corona because someone that they came in contact with tested positive. So then on the show, they like shut down production for the whole day. They like stopped filming, all of that. And then like it turned out that they didn't need to cancel the production, but like Big Brother Canada, which was also filming during this time, stopped production halfway through the season was airing. And that was like really, really interesting to see because like the people on the inside didn't know what was happening. And then one day, Alyssa Cox comes on there and is like, yo, the show is over. There's like a pandemic happening. And everyone was like, holy F. Like, we've been in isolation this entire time, and the whole world is like, having all of these problems, like people are dying, and I don't know, that was just really crazy to see. So I think, like you were saying, Alyssa, the risk versus reward, if you start something and you have to shut it down in mid-production, like you're losing a lot. And then it sucks for the contestants who get sent home too.
Yeah, and I just think it's one of those things where reality TV is never going to be worth somebody's life. And I think we kind of saw that on Survivor when like Caleb got really, really sick after a challenge. Like everyone was scared shitless. And I feel like if there was even a chance that someone had COVID, everyone would be really, really scared. And it's like, it's not worth putting people through the emotional trauma. It's not worth, like, I don't think anyone would argue that being entertained for 1 hour every Wednesday is worth everything that would possibly come from that could possibly come from them continuing to film Survivor when coronavirus is not under control yet.
Yeah, 100%. I agree. In the fall, no Survivor, probably no Big Brother happening in the next few weeks, month, whatever. Amazing Race is being aired in the fall. This season was like filmed 2 years ago, and they just kept it, and it hasn't been aired yet. So I feel like sort of sucks for those contestants that have went on the Amazing Race, like not allowed to tell people, and they haven't even like announced anything because the season keeps getting pushed back their air date. But that's happening in the fall. Alyssa and I really think that Survivor 41, we're not sure that it could happen in the spring. So, spring 2021, we're more thinking that everything will be pushed back and they would have to film 41 and 42 like March to May, how they normally film 2 seasons. So we're thinking that we won't have Survivor until at least fall of 2021, which sucks, but we just don't see how it'd be feasible that you could do it for spring of 2021 at this point in time.
Yeah, and I feel like Big Brother could possibly be in spring 2021, depending on how the United States continues to respond to coronavirus. Just because there are a lot of places in the US where COVID is still getting progressively worse. So, oh, Rachel just told me they only film Big Brother in the summer. I didn't know that because I don't watch it. But I think next summer, possibly, like, who knows? And I'm not sure that the Amazing Race will like happen again, just because it's one of those things where they're hopping from country to country, and like I feel like the chances of accidentally causing a pandemic again would be like very questionable, especially because some of the places they go don't have like the healthcare infrastructure that the United States does. And so, yeah, because the United States is great healthcare. We know that. But I feel like it's one of those things where if you pick it up in the first leg of the race and then you go 9 other countries, suddenly you've exposed a lot of people. So I'd be really interested in seeing how the Amazing Race does in the future, or if they're just going to be like, we had a good run. We did a lot of seasons. Maybe stopping a virus from spreading can be our reason for ending nobly. So
Yeah, I think definitely like it would be very irresponsible for TV shows to do something like that, especially in like today's current times and stuff like that. So I don't know. Amazing Race was sort of on the downhill for the past few years, anyways. Like every season started to become very similar. They stopped having new people on the show, and it was just like, oh, influencers, YouTubers were going on the show. I watched the like the Big Brother, Survivor, and Amazing Race contestant season. That was like I guess the most recent season that had aired. But I think Amazing Race has been going downhill anyways. They should probably just stop it now. And what a great time to stop it, because honestly, I feel like you're probably not shooting another one of those seasons for a long time. That would probably be on the bottom of the list. Big Brother, I think, could come back sooner, and then Survivor would be second place, and then Amazing Race is like far third. Like that would take a lot of stuff to happen in the world in order to get the Amazing Race to be able to start filming again. And also, it said that the Amazing Race is literally like CBS's most expensive TV show to film and produce, and I like that makes sense because you're going to all those countries and you have to pay for like crew on the flights and stuff too, camera people. So I mean, that makes a lot of sense. So if you're saving money and you're not putting people's lives at risk and you're not putting people's lives at the countries you're going to at risk, then that's great. I think they were going downhill. They should just stop the show. Start something other show.
yeah, and then they can like again end like on a noble note instead of just being like crushed into the ground. So yeah.
Yeah, so this is sort of like a bummer, no more Survivor in the fall. So, what are we all going to do for the next 6 months potentially if Survivor can come back in the spring? Fingers crossed that it could happen, but Alyssa and I are realistically hoping for it to at least come back in fall of 2021. So, in the meantime, for this podcast, we are thinking of doing a lot of different Survivor related videos, other reality TV show videos. Maybe we could do like a rewatch of a season and then do podcasts about it, or watch some international seasons of Survivor and do podcasts about it. Fan made Survivor, like Survivor Maryland, we could watch and then also do podcasts about it. So definitely let us know in the comments what you want us to do during this hiatus, because we have a long hiatus now.
Yeah, a lot longer than we were expecting. So thanks again for watching, guys. And also let us know down in the comments, what reality TV show do you think is coming back first? And we'll see you guys soon. Bye.